involving these long gasoline lines. Abby, what are we seeing?
Wolf, it's not just in Texas. Around the southeast, we've been getting pictures in like this. People fearing that prices are about to skyrocket with this storm, leading to scenes like this at gas stations. This is College Station in Texas. Kyle Norton had an hour-long wait this afternoon, but elsewhere as well. Alpharetta, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina. We're hearing from these reporters that there's rumors flying that people are queuing up to get gas because they think that at any moment these prices are going to be increased by the gas stations. Further afield as well, this is a gas station, Kangaroo Express in Indiana, where the sign on the gas pump says, please limit your purchase to 10 gallons. This has been going on in the last 24 hours from the parent company, who said that they're taking a proactive approach to what they call a limited supply. But what we were told by this reporter, Curtis McNeely, is it's just breeding a sense of paranoia in the people purchasing gas, and they were just going back for more. Wolf? All
right, Abby, stand by. I know you're getting a lot of these reports coming in. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room happening now. Breaking news. A killer storm sends out a wall of water that could top 20 feet. Hurricane Ike takes direct aim at Galveston, Texas, where some residents have been warned to flee or die. Coast Guard helicopters sent to rescue dozens who didn't get out in time, but even the choppers have their limits in this kind of storm. And we're also keeping our eye on the presidential race. Sarah Palin in the spotlight. Does John McCain's running mate sound more like Barack Obama when it comes to hunting down al-Qaeda terrorists? I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. A mass killer moving relentlessly toward the Texas coast right now. The likely point of impact, the sea level city of Galveston. 15-foot waves already crashing over the seawall, but the storm surge may be much, much higher. The most exposed residents warned to evacuate or face certain death. Left behind, but further inland, 1,000 prisoners in a single-story jail. Aerial rescues are underway, but one daring rescue mission had to be called off. The Coast Guard and the U.S. Air Force unable to reach 22 people aboard a huge freighter adrift in the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane Ike is a massive, massive storm and may cause damage to a broader area than even Hurricane Katrina. Authorities are evacuating those who can't care for themselves and are stockpiling millions of meals and millions of liters of water for the hurricane zone. The Gulf Coast is already being battered by Ike, but the worst is still only a few hours away as this killer storm barrels toward Texas. Let's go to our national correspondent, Gary Tuchman. He's in Galveston standing by. Also standing by, our CNN contributor and retired U.S. Army General Russell Honore. All that coming up. But let's get the latest forecast that has just been released. Chad Myers is at the CNN Hurricane Headquarters with that. What are they telling us right now from the National Hurricane Center, Chad?
136 miles away from Galveston. And so that's the center of what is a very large eye. Hurricane Hunter now just through the eye with a 60-mile around diameter eye. That will probably shrink over the next few hours. That will pick up the wind speed, just like a skater with her arms out goes slowly. You bring those arms in, the skater goes quicker. Well, you bring your arms into a hurricane, the center goes quicker. But it's still 105, forecast to go to 110. Look at the size of this. This is actually a visible satellite, what the satellite sees. When we add colors, that's kind of an infrared image to see how cold the tops are, how tall the storm is. But this thing is almost all the way from western Florida and is now into parts of Mexico. That's how large the storm looks now. So yes, it's going to make landfall in Galveston. I think that's a certainty, right on the island probably, as a Category 2, 110-mile-per-hour storm. And that's going to be terrible. And that's going to be huge storm surge. But Houston, Texas is still going to see winds overnight and tomorrow morning to 95 miles per hour. It's going to knock out windows. High-rises downtown are going to be knocked out. I mean, the windows are going to be all over the place. I remember a couple of other storms. Glass was in the streets of Houston for days. This could happen again, right. And an awful lot of people without power, too.
Chad, hold on for 1 second. We have the mayor of Houston on the phone. I want you to join me in the questioning. The mayor, Bill White, is joining us right now. Mayor, you just heard Chad. It's pretty scary what's going to happen in your city, the fourth largest city in the United States. Tell our viewers what you know.
Well, we are prepared for this storm, but it's going to be a disaster. no matter how prepared you are, when you're talking about 100-mile-an-hour winds and 15-foot storm surge, then we have been doing everything possible to start with reducing the risk of loss of life.
Yesterday, Mayor, we spoke with your police chief, and he said about 500,000 people were told to get out of the Houston area, but that would still leave at least 1.5 million others there. Do you think enough people were told to leave this time?
Oh, sure. I mean, actually, it's far more than 1.5 million. That's just within the city limits, and within the metropolitan area, there's several millions more. Well, there are risks too that are involved in mass evacuations if people don't have the appropriate food, shelter, and accommodations. And with the benefit of hindsight, if there is a tree that comes down in somebody's bedroom, it'd be that person, if they would have known that, should have evacuated. But we have put the priority within Texas of making sure that those individuals that were at the highest risk in the storm surge areas where you'll see a water wall had an opportunity to evacuate and had a safe place to go, and that the freeways were clear in order to do so. It was made more difficult, as you know, by the sharp turn north that this storm took within a period of 48 hours.
I want Chad Myers, our meteorologist and severe weather expert, to join in the questioning, Mayor. Chad, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, do you think that the bayous are going to back up enough that those people that live along them need to go as well?
Well, they don't need to go now because there are tropical storm winds that are coming on, and the most dangerous place to be when you have 40-mile-an-hour plus winds is on the freeways. We've encouraged people within those flood-prone areas to seek higher ground within this community. There are places that have a tendency to flood. There are places that are higher ground within our metropolitan area, which has several thousands of square miles. We do anticipate that we do have rescue teams that are on call, that are available, and we will be in a position to do some rescues if we need to.
Do you think the fact that Rita missed you made people a little bit more complacent?
Not at all. I mean, this community has responded very effectively to the calls for mandatory evacuations. I was out in one of our more densely populated areas in the city, Clear Lake, the headquarters of NASA, where the residential neighborhoods were virtually vacant. Now, we did find apartment complexes, and I and members of the fire department for hours this morning were knocking on doors with bullhorns to make sure that people took advantage of the mass transit that we had available.
I know, Mayor, you're very busy. I want to just ask one final question. Chad referred to it earlier. Those of us who have been to Houston, we know those huge high-rise buildings that you have. I'm really worried about all the glass, potentially, that those windows could be shattered. What can you tell us about that concern?
Well, I think it's a real concern. As you know, we had Alicia, where we did, as you referred to earlier, have some of those windows pop. It only occurred on, a handful of the buildings, but that's still very dangerous. That's why we will be announcing shortly a curfew. We've advised our citizens to keep off the streets, and people right now are, seeking refuge in their homes, and the streets are fairly clear.
When will that curfew go into effect?
Well, I won't preempt an announcement that we'll make within the next hour, but it'll be fair to say that it's going to be a dusk to dawn curfew, and it'll be tightly enforced. When we had a even larger evacuation during Rita, we had virtually no looting or people violating each other's property, and we're proud of that in Houston.
Well, good luck, Mayor. Good luck to all the folks in the Houston area. We're talking of an area of about 4 million people when you include Houston in the metropolitan area. Good luck to all of you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Gary Tuchman is right on the front line of this war against Hurricane Ike. He's in Galveston, Texas. Gary, you just set the scene for us for viewers who may just be tuning in. You're not standing on a beach. You're standing atop a huge 17-foot wall.
That's right. Well, this is actually kind of a highway I'm standing on. This would normally be very busy, Wolf. Hurricane Ike is right behind me. behind me there, immediately behind me, is a 17-foot tall seawall. And that seawall was built to protect the city. It's 10 miles long, 17 feet down. Last night at this time, I saw about 75 yards of beach. The beach is completely gone. And you can see for the last several hours, these waves have been coming up just like this. Much of the street boulevard is flooded. I do want to mention to you, we're taking very great safety precautions. We're not going to be out here much longer. But now we can safely show you the power of a hurricane that hasn't even arrived yet. And that's a very important point to stress. We want to show you as close as we can, as close as we dare. We're not going to get too close because we don't want to get our camera equipment wet. But I want you to listen to this as the waves come up. Just listen. So you can see that has been happening now for hours. And that's why many of the streets here in Galveston, Texas are already flooded, despite the fact that it hasn't even rained here yet. It's just starting to come down. A very important thing, Wolf, we've never seen an announcement quite like this before. Last night, the National Weather Service said for people who live here in Galveston, and this was their quote, for people who live in single-family homes that are 1 or 2 stories near the beach, they must heed evacuation orders or face certain death. I just need to emphasize, the word certainly is a strong word. It's not a word we would ever use on our own. We don't know if it's certain death, but we do know the fact that they've used that shows just how dangerous this situation is. The fact is, Wolf, it appears that most people here in Galveston, population 57,000, have evacuated. But this is very important to stress that the hurricane isn't here yet, and these are the conditions we're having. One other thing I'm going to show you, Wolf, I've gotten a lot of emails from people saying, okay, you're telling us how dangerous it is. Why the heck are you standing there with all your CNN people? I want to show you where we're staying. This is the structure we're staying in. This is a hotel that is built like Fort Knox. It's on a mountain, sort of. It's kind of a big hill, small mountain, surrounded by boats, built specifically to withstand serious hurricane situations. Members of the news media are staying here. Police are staying here. Emergency officials are staying here. We are staying here because we feel it is safe for us to be here to continue delivering the news. We may be stuck because many of these roads may be flooded underwater, but we feel it's a safe risk, and that's why we're here.
All right, Gary, stand by. We're going to be checking back with you. It's good to know you guys are all taking these precautions. Our CNN contributor, the retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General Russell Honore, is joining us now from the CNN Center. General, you're getting some new information, I take it, on what authorities are planning to do tomorrow?
Absolutely. The Texas Adjutant General, General Chuck Rodriguez, and his troops have positioned themselves in San Antonio. They have a convoy of 500 trucks, many of them geared for high water search and rescue. They have small boats. They have search and rescue teams. They will launch at the right time in the morning as soon as they can approach into the Houston-Galveston area once the eye has passed. And their job is to do the ground level search and rescue. He also has a task force made up of helicopters from both the active and the National Guard, primarily National Guard assets, with special ops capable aircraft if they need it, to start the air search and rescue once the winds die down. So they have a tremendous strike force they've put together named Task Force Ike, which is the ground component, that are staged and ready to go in San Antonio in 2 phases. Well,
and all of our viewers remember, General Honore, when you led the U.S. military into action along the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina. Here's the specific question. Have they learned the logistical lessons of then? In other words, will the military going in be able to get the same radio frequencies as local and state and federal authorities, the other first responders who are coming in? Will the left hand of the government be able to talk to the right hand?
I think they will. The National Guard has invested well in some satellite communications. FEMA has some. I think the troops will do well. The issue is the enormity and the size of the scope of how big Houston is and how much of it will get damaged. The old adage, people need to have 3 days of food and water on hand. If they're sheltered at home, could be important. But I think they've got the capability to go in and be able to talk across structures. They just did it in Louisiana, and I think they'll be able to take that capability into Houston and Galveston. Over.
Okay, General Honore, don't go away. We're going to be checking back with you. We've got a lot more questions. We're keeping an eye on Hurricane Ike. As you know, this is a huge story, breaking news. We're not going very far away from it, but we're also keeping another eye out on the presidential race. We're taking a much closer look at what's going on this day, the day after a political truce. We're looking at the running mate, specifically Sarah Palin, facing more questions today about what's going on, and Joe Biden releasing his tax returns open for inspection right now. And these are the 17 feet high waves that are coming in, up to 20 feet thick. But massive waves already breaking over Galveston's seawall, as you can see. Can it stand up to Ike's monster storm surge? And a dramatic Coast Guard airlift rescuing those who ignored warnings to flee or face death. But can these choppers get them all? We're watching all of this right here in The Situation.
The Situation Room, brought to you by the people of the United Methodist Church.
If you're searching for ways to share your gifts with others and possibly even receive something in return, our hearts, our minds, and our doors are always open. The people of the United Methodist Church.
$192,186.
$678,477. $356,931.
$1,358,907.42. I don't think I want to pay this anymore.
We're going to get right back to the Hurricane Ike. We're watching it very closely just in a few moments, but there's other important news we're watching, namely the race for the White House. There are dramatic developments today. Among other things, cross-border raids by U.S. troops hunting terrorists. John McCain's running mate is questioned for the first time on national security, and at first glance seems to sound a little bit like Barack Obama. Let's go to Brian Todd. He's working this story for us. Why is that the case, Brian?
Well, some are interpreting Sarah Palin's comments about Pakistan to be an almost virtual lockstep with Obama, but the McCain-Palin team is pushing back hard. On possibly the most sensitive national security question of the moment, Sarah Palin is prodded 3 times. Does the U.S. have the right to go after terrorists inside Pakistan without the Pakistanis' permission? Her final answer to ABC's Charles Gibson:
I believe that America has to exercise all options in order to stop the terrorists who are hell-bent on destroying America and our allies. We have got to have all options out there on the table.
Some media outlets say that seems closer to Barack Obama's thinking and President Bush's than John McCain's. The president has, according to an intelligence official, authorized U.S. Special Forces to go after terrorists inside Pakistan without first obtaining the Pakistanis' approval. And Obama has said this:
if Pakistan cannot or will not act, we will take out high-level terrorist targets like bin Laden if we have them in our sights.
McCain called Obama naive for broadcasting what the U.S. would do in that situation. When he was asked by CNN's Larry King if he'd send U.S. forces after Osama bin Laden inside Pakistan,
I'm not going to go there, and here's why: because Pakistan is a sovereign nation.
But the McCain-Palin campaign is strongly denying any daylight between the two running mates. A McCain aide says when McCain said he wouldn't, quote, go there, he did not mean he would not go into Pakistan, just that he wouldn't talk about it. The aide says McCain has never ruled anything out regarding action in Pakistan. When we asked if Palin's comment about all options included unilateral action without Pakistan's permission, we were told the word all speaks for itself.
She clearly reserved the option, but as a last resort, and something she didn't want to be too clear or explicit about as a would-be vice president of the United States.
Michael O'Hanlon says he believes that was the right way to handle that situation. O'Hanlon was one of 2 analysts we spoke with who don't support either candidate. Overall, both say Palin seemed a little thin on foreign policy during that interview, but they say she seemed to have been heavily coached, and both believe she will get better in these forums. A big test coming up, Wolf, that October 2nd debate with Joe Biden. A lot of eyes on that one.
We'll be watching that closely. Another comment she made, not in the interview, but in a separate location in Alaska involving the war in Iraq. That's being dissected right now as well.
That's right. As she was speaking to her son's army unit that's deploying to Iraq, and she said, quote, "You will be there to defend the innocent from the enemies who planned and carried out and rejoiced in the deaths of thousands of Americans." Now, some have interpreted that as linking 9/11 to Iraq, which, of course, has been kind of debunked as a theory. The McCain-Palin campaign says she was only referring to al-Qaeda in Iraq, not the entire country, certainly not Saddam Hussein's regime. But, Wolf, it gives you an idea. Everything this woman says now is being picked apart pretty heavily.
And we're getting some more excerpts from yet another interview she gave, and we're going to share that with our viewers coming up. Thanks, Brian, for that. Compared to most U.S. senators, Joe Biden is certainly not a wealthy man. The Democratic vice presidential nominee has made his tax returns public. Let's go to our senior correspondent, Alan Chernoff, who's been going through those IRS returns. What are you learning, Alan?
And we are standing in
Hold
Taylor
on.
Lake. This is Taylor Lake right here.
Many of his
All
colleagues.
right, Alan, I'm going to cut you off for a second because I'm not hearing you, and I assume our viewers aren't hearing you as well. Stand by for a moment. We'll get that microphone fixed. We'll turn it on or whatever we have to do. Stand by. We'll get back to politics in a moment. Right now, I want to get some more on Hurricane Ike. The Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center, Ed Rappaport, is joining us live. Mr. Rappaport, tell us what's going on right now, because I haven't seen this big of a hurricane in a long time.
Yeah, that's one of the distinguishing features about Hurricane Ike, that the intensity is not the strongest we've seen. It's in the Category 2 range, could still make it to Category 3 before landfall in less than 12 hours. But its large size, large expanse of wind means that there's going to be a very extended storm surge in terms of area, and also a very deep storm surge, not unlike what we saw in Katrina. Katrina was a little bit stronger, but comparable in terms of size, and that's what helped generate that very large surge we saw during that storm.
And when do we now anticipate that Ike will make landfall, and where?
Yeah, at this stage, it looks like we're going to get tropical storm force winds occurring at the coast now. In fact, the most recent observations from Galveston say that those winds have arrived, and that means we've reached the point now where very little outdoor activity can be done in preparation for the hurricane. Hurricane force winds by around sunset will reach the coast, and then the center will come ashore perhaps at 2 or 3 in the morning. At this point, it looks like near Galveston Island. The problem, of course, is that most of the weather is going to extend from there northeastward from Galveston Island, and we'll expect a storm surge, perhaps 15 to 20 feet, that will cover all the way up to the Beaumont-Port Arthur coastal areas and a little bit into the southwestern Louisiana as well.
Well, we know that Galveston has that 17-foot seawall that was built decades and decades ago. Is that going to be enough to save Galveston, or do you anticipate that all of Galveston could be underwater?
The problem is that the seawall does not fully enclose the Galveston area. This is the coastline. Here's Galveston Island. Here's the rest of the coast from southwest Louisiana down to Galveston Island. We expect the track of the center to go somewhere across Galveston Island in this area. All these colorized areas here in yellow and green are where we're expecting storm surge of 15 to 20 feet. The problem for Galveston is that the waters can come around the backside. And so at this point, we expect that there'll be very few places, maybe just a couple blocks on Galveston Island itself, and then northeastward from there on the Boulevard Peninsula, that will not be underwater at some point during this hurricane. So basically, storm surge from near Galveston Island northeastward will cover the ground at some point all the way up to the southwestern Louisiana portion of the map and extend inland as far as 15 to 20 miles. We'll see storm surge extent.
Well, what about Houston?
Houston's a little farther back on our map, and it will stay dry from the storm surge, but if the center of the track comes, the center of the storm comes near Houston, they will still get winds to near 100 miles per hour. We're also expecting 5 to 10, locally 15 inches of rain. The storm surge will come up across Galveston Bay and up towards the rivers towards Houston, but the main threat for Houston itself, for downtown area, will be the wind.
Good luck, Ed Rappaport. We'll check back with you. Thanks very much. Wow, almost all of Galveston, you heard it right here. It's going to be underwater as a result of this surge coming up, not only over the seawall, but around the area where there is no seawall. We're going to be speaking momentarily with the mayor of Galveston. She's standing by, live standby. We'll get to her in just a few moments. We've got a lot more coming up. Our reporters are covering this monster storm. Some people are getting out with their pets on wave runners. Others are staying put in the path of Hurricane Ike. What's going on? And adrift in the Gulf of Mexico. The Coast Guard trying to rescue 22 people aboard a stranded freighter. The dramatic story straight ahead. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
That sounds great. Bundle me up.
Aren't you smart? Signing up for digital phone service through your cable provider? Uh-oh, you've been bundled. It's time for Vonage. With Vonage, you get unlimited local and long-distance service and 25 premium features, all for just $24.99 a month.
When you have the bundled services, it's only for a time period that your service fee is low.
After, 3 months, then they jack the rate up on you.
They haven't beat the price that I'm paying with Vonage.
When you bundle, that low promotional rate expires and your bill goes up. With Vonage, your rate starts low and stays low. Sign up now with Vonage and get 1 month free. Enjoy clear digital phone sound quality using your high-speed internet connection. Call now and try Vonage for 30 days.
Call 1-800-836-9450 or go online to Vonage.com.
Man, I need to vacuum.
It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today.
You take the time to care for so many in your life. Take a little time for yourself and save on the hottest items of the season at the CVS Pharmacy Semi-Annual Beauty Sale. CVS Pharmacy, for all the ways you care.
Yeah, we can do the neutral.
Traffic, there's still a couple things. Yeah.
Well, please, I'll get this.
Thank you.
Of course.
Was ist das?
Das ist wohl eine Kindergartenkarte.
Auf Fluss.
Good day.
Nice to meet you so much. Thank you. Take care. I think that went well.
Yeah. Let me get this, okay?
If you own your business, own the card that says so. The Gold Card, with rewards to reinvest in your business. American Express Open. Calling all business owners.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, you can apply year-round, talk with personal health insurance advisors, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call for this free information kit and Medicare guide. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP. These plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. This could save you thousands of dollars. Want your choice of doctors or hospitals, virtually no claim forms, and no referrals needed to see a specialist? Call for your free kit. Yep, this is one great card.
Halo and Biden reveal. CNN Saturday and Sunday night starting 9 Eastern.
The very latest forecast for Hurricane Ike shows the storm remains a strong Category 2 with sustained winds of 105 miles per hour, gusting to 125 miles per hour. Ike could come ashore as a Category 3. We just heard from the Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center. Even with Hurricane Ike a couple of 100 miles away, it's no longer a couple 100 miles away right now. It's about 120 miles or so away right now. Authorities so far have rescued more than 120 people stranded by rising seas along the Texas coast. The Coast Guard says half of those rescues have been carried out by helicopters. And high seas drama broke it down and directly in the path of Hurricane Ike. A nightmare scenario for the crew of a Cyprus flagged freighter. The Coast Guard says it's simply too dangerous to attempt a rescue right now. Let's go to Galveston right now. The seawall, Gary Tuckman is standing by. It looks so ominous where you are. And we just heard Ed Rappaport, Gary, say this could make landfall right over Galveston Island where you are on top of that seawall. Set the scene for our viewers who might just be tuning in.
Wolf, we have no doubt that Galveston will be inundated with water. It's a relatively small island, 57,000 people here, and we've seen the pictures and the predictions that almost all the streets could be underwater by the time this is over. That being said, as we pointed out the last time I talked to you, we're staying on a 15-story hotel, so we don't expect that we're going to have any problem with the water or the winds because this is not a Category 4 or 5 wind event. However, it's going to be severe flooding. You can see already on the water here. This is called Seawall Boulevard. This is a 17-foot seawall that normally it's 17 feet down to the beach, and then there's about 100 yards of beach. The beach has disappeared. You just see the waves coming in. I want to show you something very unusual. Look at the clouds in the sky. You can make them out, these black clouds that are swirling around. At first, we looked at this, and yes, the clouds are very ominous when a hurricane is coming, but this is particularly ominous. Turns out those aren't just clouds. That is smoke from a fire that has broken out. Fire officials are on the scene right now. We'll know more about the fire shortly, but you right now have hurricane clouds combined with smoke from a fire, and that's been one of the concerns. There's a lot of oil petroleum industry around here. We're not sure if that's where the fire is coming from, but indeed that is an issue here. I want to show you one more shot here that I find very interesting. Last night we were doing a live report right on top of the seawall, and like I said, we could see 100 yards of beach, and these are the steps that take you down to the beach. 10 steps, now completely covered with water. And what's most amazing about this, Wolf, is it still hasn't started raining yet. This hurricane's still a great distance away, and many of the streets here in Galveston, Texas, are underwater right now.
We're gonna speak to the mayor of Galveston momentarily, and I want you to join me in the questioning if we can, Gary. But the smoke behind you, do we have any idea? It looks like maybe some sort of oil-related fire that could be going on. It looks so dark and ominous and such a huge area.
Yeah, that is a great concern, Wolf, and we're hoping to find out soon. We actually have a crew going to the scene of the fire right now. But we're told it is not a house fire. We're told that it may indeed be something to do with the oil industry, and we will find out shortly. But I'm just being told now, just being told in my magic ear here, that it's a storage area, that we're not sure if it's related to the oil industry, but it's a storage area, so it's not a house fire. But what's really important to point out, Wolf, just when we were in New Orleans for Hurricane Gustav, we had the same thing. We had fires in the French Quarter. It's a major concern for firefighters that fires break out, and then when the conditions get so bad, they can't fight them. Right now, they can still fight them because the rains are coming down. The rains are not coming down at this point. The latest information has been told me that firefighters can't get to the scene, so they're not able to put that fire out, despite the fact that it isn't raining yet, despite the fact that we don't have the hurricane force winds. Apparently, they can't get to the site right now, so it is continuing to burn as we speak.
At Storage Center, you'll find out what kind of Storage Center. Stand by, Gary, because we're going to, together, you and me, we're going to speak to the mayor of Galveston in just a few moments. She's standing by. She's got her hands full. As you know, a hurricane very similar to this one, to Hurricane Ike, brought catastrophe to Galveston a century ago. Let's go to Carol Costello. She's been looking at this part of the story. The similarities, Carol, are all too chilling right now.
I'm telling you, Ike is on pretty much the same track as that hurricane long ago when you heard it, Galveston virtually underwater. It's deja vu all over again, and not in a good way. Back in 1900, Galveston was the Houston of Texas, a big city, until it was literally wiped out by a hurricane. 7,000 people died 108 years ago. We can be sure of one thing: that part of history will not be repeated.
This seawall is the final line of defense between Hurricane Ike and the city of Galveston. The wall is massive, 17 feet high, 10 miles long, and in some places 20 feet thick. And it's going to be tested. With Hurricane Ike yet to reach the city, water is already spilling over the top. Galveston is especially vulnerable to flooding because the city itself rests right at sea level, and this wall wasn't always here. This film, taken by an assistant of Thomas Edison's, just gives a glimpse of the devastation of the hurricane that hit Galveston in 1900. Nearly 7,000 people died, almost a sixth of the city's population. Over a century later, it still stands as the deadliest natural disaster in American history. Much like Hurricane Ike, The storm of 1900 moved over Cuba and intensified in the Gulf of Mexico. On September 8th, it smashed into Galveston with winds over 100 miles per hour and a storm surge higher than 15 feet. Author Eric Larson wrote Isaac's Storm, the definitive book on the 1900 hurricane.
I can't underestimate the devastation. It was absolutely appalling, and you had people burning the corpses of their neighbors. It was a horrendous scene.
We've been watching the water cresting this seawall.
Larson saw today's video of water spilling into Galveston and sees eerie parallels to 1900.
I was watching some of the helicopter footage that was taken up the beach in Galveston, and it was as though I was watching today a video recreation.
You know, all those years ago, wolf forecasting was fairly new. The man in charge was named Isaac Klein, and he simply did not think Mother Nature would take out Galveston and issued no warning until it was too late. The tragedy did a couple of things, though. Galveston now has that seawall because of that hurricane, and those who predict weather, even Isaac Klein, learned to better predict hurricanes. But it took that great tragedy to do it.
Yeah, that's 100+ years ago. I stand by, Carol. I want to show our viewers this fire that is now raging in Galveston. You just heard Gary Tuchman talk about it. These are pictures coming in from our affiliate KTRK. It's some sort of storage facility, and firefighters can't get to the area right now. That's why there's so much smoke coming in. Let's bring in the mayor of Galveston. Lyda Ann Thomas is joining us right now. Mayor, what do we know about this fire, if anything?
We don't know a lot, except there are diesel tanks involved, and our troops are down there. They're having a hard time getting to it. Plus, the wind, Wolf, is increasing just minute by minute. But we're there, and we're going to do what we can as soon as we can get to it.
We heard the deputy director of the National Hurricane Center say, Mayor, that almost all of Galveston is pretty soon going to be underwater. Are you ready for that?
Well, first of all, I'm not so sure that it's how much water we're going to have. We have a lot right now, but the seawall is holding firm as it always has, and the waves are splashing over the seawall, but the surf itself is still about 5 feet below the seawall. But we're ready. We stay prepared all the time for these kinds of storms. This is a big one, but we'll handle it, and we'll recover just as soon as we can when it's over, which should be over the next 12 hours. The
concern that the National Hurricane Center deputy director expressed is not necessarily the area protected by the seawall, but there are other parts of Galveston Island that don't have a seawall, and water could come in a big way in those areas. Are you concerned about that?
Yes, sir, and you're absolutely correct. The west end of the island is completely inundated. Our docks and piers along our harbor at the Port of Galveston is underwater. The downtown is completely flooded, as are some of our neighborhoods. But many of our streets are still passable, and once the storm passes, the water will go down. We will have a lot of damage. We're not looking forward to it, but we're ready to get our damage cleaned up and move forward. We'll know a lot more in about 8 or 9 hours.
Mayor, our correspondent Gary Tuchman is on top of that seawall right now, and he has a question he wants to ask you. Go ahead, Gary.
All right.
Well, Mayor, I love the sunny optimism. First of all, we are certainly hoping for the best, too. And you're right. The seawall is holding. It looks like about 3 or 4 feet. I just walked back there. Let me just move out of the way of this truck. About 3 or 4 feet, the water is below the seawall right now. But I'm wondering, the worst is still yet to come, Mayor. We're talking about 6 or 8 hours from now is going to peak. Going to be the peak. Are you still as optimistic when you look at it that way? This hurricane really isn't close to here just yet.
We are very, very worried about the topping of the seawall. It is going to top the seawall, and we just don't know what the impact of that will be until it actually happens. But we know that I think the majority of our city will be underwater, but how much underwater, who can tell at this point?
Gary,
also,
go ahead, Gary.
Ask you, yeah, sorry about that, Wolf, but I do want to ask an important question, probably the most crucial question because of the warnings we've gotten from the National Weather Service. Do you have any idea what percentage of the Galvestonians have left this island for safety?
We think that approximately 40% of the island. That was yesterday. We're on a number of people left today, so we don't have an accurate count for you yet.
And Mayor, how many people? Are we talking about 60,000 people who live in Galveston, or is there a lot more at risk?
We have a population of 60,000. We took out about 3,000 of our citizens who needed public transportation. I really don't want to speculate. I have no idea how many people are still here.
All right, Mayor, we're going to have to leave it right there. We know you have a lot of work to do. We want you, of course, to be careful. All of the men and women who are working with you, the military, the first responders, good luck to everyone in the Galveston area. Good luck to everyone along the Texas coast right now. We're bracing for the worst. Gary, don't go away. We're going to be coming back to you shortly, but I want to move on to another big story we're following. We're not going to leave the hurricane for long, but we want to follow the latest developments in the race for the White House. Republican vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin is weighing in on Barack Obama's vice presidential selection. Palin says the Democrat may be regretting his choice of Joe Biden. Let's discuss this and more with a pair of CNN political contributors, the Democratic strategist James Carville and the Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez. Here's what she says in a new part of the interview with ABC News, James, and we'll get your reaction. She says, I think he's regretting not picking her now, referring to your candidate, Hillary Clinton. I do. What determination and grit and even grace through some tough shots that were fired her way. She handled those well. What do you make of that?
Well, she's probably a little bit better political analyst than she is on foreign policy. I think she's more interested in politics and foreign policy, obviously. Look, I wish that Senator Obama would have picked Senator Clinton, but you know what? I'm crazy about Senator Biden, and we got a good team on the field, and we're all behind it. But she seems a little more comfortable in the political arena than she does the foreign policy arena.
She and Senator McCain, Leslie, are saying really beautiful things about Hillary Clinton. It's no great surprise because they would love to get some of those disappointed Hillary Clinton supporters on their side.
Well, it's not so much that as much as Hillary Clinton was a formidable candidate. There were a lot of Republicans who were very concerned that it would be an Obama-Clinton ticket. And actually, you know, she is not repeating anything that Joe Biden, the vice presidential candidate, didn't say himself when he thought she would Hillary Clinton would have been a better pick. You know, overall, the Obama ticket rejected a very viable, strong candidate who's probably the best woman to be on that ticket on the Democratic side in in modern history. And you can't run away from that. And I think many women are disturbed by that. And it wasn't so hard for Republicans to put a qualified person on the ticket. It just increases the importance of gender in this election.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't hard for them to do it, but they didn't do it. It would have been easy to pick Olympia Snowe, but you know, there's a certain element of the Republican Party wouldn't let them do that. So we all know that there were qualified Republican women, but they didn't make the cut. So we don't need to argue that.
You know, Governor Palin is exactly the right candidate. She's energized the Republican Party. People are excited about this. She speaks to middle-class values, and it really is a classic Americana, middle-class, rural values against the elite liberalism, you know, of somebody like Barack Obama.
The Obama campaign has a new ad that they just released, and I want to play it, James, and then both of you will discuss it. We have a new McCain ad that came out as well, but first the Obama ad.
1982. John McCain goes to Washington. Things have changed in the last 26 years, but McCain hasn't. He admits he still doesn't know how to use a computer, can't send an email, still doesn't understand the economy, and favors $200 billion in new tax cuts for corporations, but almost nothing for the middle class. After one president who was out of touch, we just can't afford more of the same.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
All right, James, you've been anxious for the Obama campaign to start releasing ads like that. Does this make the cut?
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it does. And the remarkable thing about it, it's truthful, which distinguishes from anything I've seen out of Senator McCain's campaign. Actually, it's very factual. And it does make a good point. You know, 1982 is when I left Louisiana, and I just came back this year, and I realized how long a period of time that was. He's been in Washington for quite a while now.
All right, listen to this ad. Leslie, hold on. I want to play this McCain ad, and I want you to weigh in on this one. This is the new McCain ad.
Sure. He was the world's biggest celebrity, but his star's fading. So they lashed out at Sarah Palin, dismissed her as good-looking. That backfired, so they said she was doing what she was told.
then desperately called Sarah Palin a liar. How disrespectful. And how Governor Sarah Palin proves them wrong every day.
All right, Leslie, what do you think of that ad?
You know, it's inspiring. I mean, it's exactly correct. I think it's unprecedented to have a Democratic presidential candidate working so hard and sacrificing so much time to attack the number 2 of the Republican ticket. It's just unheard of. And with respect to that previous ad, I have to say this. While Barack Obama was playing video games, you have to look at Senator McCain was actually working on telecommunications legislation, which reformed the industry, led to one of the biggest sectors in our economy. And, you know, that's really kind of reforming Washington, results in something that didn't happen in a Democratic Congress. So, you know, let's just talk about who deserves the credit when it comes to technology.
Well, I'm sure one of the 164 lobbyists working for him wrote the bill for him, so
you know,
don't worry about that.
All right.
You know, Wolf, I just want to say very quickly, my family's in Houston. Everybody appreciates the coverage and all that you're doing there.
Well, good luck to your family. I know, James, you're in New Orleans. How's it over there?
Well, it's okay. We're getting pushing a lot of water, but as I said before,
Oh, we just lost James. The satellite just went down. We wish everyone in New Orleans only the best. And Leslie, we certainly wish your family only the best and everyone the best in Houston. This is really a serious, serious storm. Warnings of certain death. Some waited until the last minute to flee this monster storm called Ike. Others had to be rescued. We have new pictures of the stranded freighter in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. We'll speak with the U.S. Coast Guard. Stand by. And with water rising in the streets, some still aren't budging. We'll tell you what's going on right here in the Situation.
Korean Air is made of.
Excellence in flight. Korean Air.
At UBS, we remain committed to being one of the world's best capitalized banks and dedicated to a relationship we call you and us. UBS.
If you're unsure where to turn for a home loan these days, turn to eLoan. Our low fixed rates and lower monthly payments are just the answer you're looking for. Call us at 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com. eLoan. Radically simple.
What if America had its own clean energy? Abundant and available for the next century or more, and possibly indefinitely. A true 21st century energy source would cut carbon emissions in half and do every living thing a world of good. That clean American energy exists. It's natural gas, and Chesapeake is its #1 explorer. For producing clean electricity and fueling our cars without imported oil, natural gas saves money and the environment. Proving the answer to this country's energy needs is right under our feet. And we're not running out. Clean, abundant, affordable, American natural gas. Doing a world of good for our communities, our economy, and our irreplaceable planet Earth.
You diet to lose weight, so why not lose more?
FDA-approved Ally is proven to help boost your weight loss by 50%.
Ally prevents some of the fat you eat from turning into pounds.
So instead of losing 10 pounds, you could lose 15, which makes getting on the scale, staying on a diet, keeping up the exercise, all
50% more rewarding.
Ally. You have the will, we have the
power. There are plenty of lawyers out there, believe me. So where do you go to find the one that's right for you? The phone book? A friend, maybe. For the right lawyer for your specific needs, there's only one place to go, Lawyers.com. Lawyers.com offers exclusive Martindale Hubbell peer review ratings and reliable lawyer profiles to help you find the expertise you need right in your area. If you need a lawyer, you've got options. Find the help that's right for you at Lawyers.com.
I just want to alert our viewers that we're getting ready to hear directly from Senator Barack Obama. He's going to be speaking out on what's going on with Hurricane Ike. We'll go there live once he starts speaking. Stand by for that. We're watching these two stories, the race for the White House as well as Hurricane Ike. FEMA has just announced what are considered to be its damage estimates for this very, very dangerous storm. Kelly Arena is looking into this part of the story. The storm really hasn't even hit yet, but they have a way of projecting how much damage potentially, Kelly, there could be out there.
They sure do, Wolf. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of frustration that not everyone listened when they were told to evacuate, especially in those low-lying areas. And as you know, I mean, officials can't force people to leave if they don't want to. And now those folks are just going to have to ride it out.
Those people will have to do the best they can to find a safe place to hide and keep themselves out of harm's way. And again, I remind them that food, water, and medicine, a radio with a battery or a crank will be indispensable tools.
Officials say that as soon as it's safe, they're going to get helicopters up, boats in the water to start rescuing people. After the storm, of course, they say there are enough meals, water, cots, blankets, and such to deal with the aftermath, and certainly enough personnel, but they are bracing for the worst. They say that the first 72 hours after this storm are going to be very rough, Wolf, and people could be displaced for quite a while.
We could have over 100,000 residences that are inundated or affected by flooding. There may be millions of people who are without power in the short term, depending on the precise impact of the storm on transmission lines and other power generation facilities.
Now, Wolf, as you know, this storm has a bigger footprint than even Katrina did. And the big worry, as we've heard, is not the wind, but the water. And drainage will be a major issue. The feds say that we could see up to 25-foot surges in some areas. The Army Corps of Engineers stands ready with extra pumps to drain those areas that don't naturally flow back into the Gulf. I got to tell you, the Homeland Security Secretary did not mince words, Wolf. He says that this storm falls into the category of a worst-case scenario.
All right, that sounds ominous indeed, and I'm sure it's an accurate assessment. We'll see what happens. Kelly, thank you for that. Kelly's going to stay on top of this story for all of us. And as this monster storm moves in, the Coast Guard is carrying out some urgent airlifts, but one rescue effort was deemed mission impossible. And a city built at sea level, some Galveston residents have been warned to flee or face certain death. We're on the scene for you, right here in the Situation Room.
Maybe your own price, huh?
Yeah, they want $200 for a 4-star on the Vegas Strip. I'm going $190.
Oh, you wuss.
What?
Go lower.
$160?
Namby-pamby.
$99.
Now you're negotiating.
At Priceline, find half-price hotels every day. Save up to half off Expedia's best price and Hotels.com's best price on over 16,000 hotels. Find half-price hotels every day at Priceline.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card, too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare.
I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
We've heard a lot of talk about change this year. The question is, change to what? To me, change is a government that doesn't let banks and oil companies rip off the American people. Change is when we finally fix healthcare instead of just talking about it. Change is giving tax breaks to middle-class families instead of companies that send jobs overseas. Change is a president who brings people together. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message because this year, change has to be more than a slogan.
Pets all across America are now putting up their paws because they want to get Pedi Paws. Pedi Paws is the new, fast, easy, and gentle way to give your pet a perfect pedicure in just minutes. For years, pets have suffered through the injuries caused by conventional nail clippers because the nail contains sensitive tissue called the quick. Regular clippers cut blindly and are inaccurate, causing injury. But Pedi Paws is designed to give your pet a proper and gentle filing, removing the enamel in thin layers, perfectly controlled, so your pet is perfectly safe. Call now and get the Pedi Paws for your pet for only $19.99. That's less than one trip to the groomers. As an added bonus, you'll also receive the amazing Shed Ender, the professional de-shedding tool for dogs and cats. A $15 value, yours as a bonus. Just pay shipping. That's right, you get both for only $19.99.
To get your Pedi Paws, call 1-800-220-2866. You'll also get a bonus Shed Ender today, so call now, 1-800-220-2866.
Lou Dobbs Independent Convention, a CNN special event tonight, 7 Eastern.
As hard as it is to comprehend, some people still have refused to get out of the way of Hurricane Ike. Let's go to Abby Tatton. She's got some eye reports to show us what's going on, Abby.
Well, for hours before landfall, and some of the neighborhoods of Galveston already look like this. Video sent in by George Holleran, who says he's now getting off the island, heading north to safety, but there are some people who are not doing that. We've been checking in with Matthew Urchel over the last 24 hours or so. He says he is staying put. We checked in with him yesterday when he was boarding up buildings, helping friends out. He says he's going to ride out the storm with numerous animals and 2 of his friends in a 2-story structure. We put it to him that there's this warning about certain death, the people who are staying on the island. And he said, yes, it certainly made them think twice today, but they decided that they think they're on high enough ground to ride this out, and that's what they're going to be doing.
I hope they're okay, Abby. Thanks very much. We'll check back with you as you get more of these eye reports coming in. Coast Guard helicopter crews have been very busy saving people from the rising water. We've got on the phone right now Captain Bill Deal of the Coast Guard to talk about these operations. He's the Houston Galveston Deputy Commander for the Coast Guard. First of all, what can you tell us about this freighter, this huge freighter that's adrift right in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico? There are about 22 people, Captain, on board, and I know you tried to get to them and save them, but you couldn't because of the hurricane.
That is correct, Well, it's what happened, they got a hold of us about 4 this morning and said that they had gone dead in the water. We basically launched our helicopters and some support aircraft to get out there and rescue them, but when we got there, the winds were 80 knots, and that didn't make hoisting them off the vessel possible.
So what's the latest as far as you know? Are they okay? Do they have communications? Do they have power?
They have power. We were able to communicate with them. They're going to have to ride out the storm, obviously. We have a heavy-duty salvage tug, the Schmidt Rotterdam, which will get underway and come in on the backside of the storm and pick them up around noon tomorrow.
We're showing some video from the Coast Guard, Captain, of a rescue operation. I don't know if you're seeing CNN right now, but clearly they're going in to save some folks. You're still doing this, or is it too late now to continue these kind of chopper-related rescue operations?
We had to pull back our smaller helicopters, or what we call our H-65s. We pulled them back about 2 hours ago. And the larger ones, the H-60s, are still out there. We have the pilots telling us when it becomes unsafe, and they will back out. We obviously go, in the Coast Guard, go in harm's way, but we do it with a risk analysis, and right now we're right at that risk analysis. So pretty soon we're going to have to pull back based on the, I just got word that we're pulling back our helos right now. But we probably saved 120 people so far today. Last time I walked out to see what the status board was.
Well, those are 120 precious lives that you saved. Do you have enough crew? Do you have enough equipment? Obviously, you're suspending these operations right now because it's simply getting way too dangerous. But were you prepared, in other words?
We were prepared. We were actually prepared to respond, is what we do. And if people evacuate and stuff, and then the storm comes in, and then we respond immediately afterwards. So we were prepared for that. What happened this morning was the storm came in and caught people before the winds got here, and we thought we better go get them now while we can, while the window was open, but the window's obviously closed now. But so what we'll do is we'll stage our boats, our helicopters, and as soon as the weather passes, we'll go immediately in.
And the scenes that we saw, the Coast Guard rescue operations that we saw in after Katrina in New Orleans and elsewhere, should we be braced for those kinds of scenes where people are stranded on top of their roofs with help signs of families? Is that what you're gearing up for?
We're gearing up for the worst. This is an all-hands emergency response for not only ourselves, but all the local authorities, the state authorities, the Department of Defense. Everyone is lending all their resources to this. It's going to be a little bit different than New Orleans because New Orleans was like a bowl that flooded. This is going to be a storm surge. It's going to come in like a big wave, sit for a while, and then flush back out. So we're going to have a lot of moving parts, and that's going to be the complicating part.
Well, good luck to you, Captain Bill Deal of the U.S. Coast Guard, doing outstanding work for all of us. These rescue operations, so dramatic, so important. Captain, thanks for saving these lives.
You're welcome.